Hello and welcome back to another video. I had seen a picture on Instagram the other day and it said something like, if Gossip Girl debuted today, these would be the years the characters were born. And the oldest one was born in like 2009. That would make them 10 years younger than I currently am. I'm supposed to believe these are just two 16-year-olds hanging out in Algebra 1. Taylor Momsen was actually the only actor in the show who was close to her character's age, and she was the only minor out of the entire cast that were playing minors. These characters are 16 years old in high school, but they're being played by 21-year-olds. And this tweet had got me thinking about literally every other TV show where adults play minors. And they do this because it is a way to avoid child labor laws, and probably also because literal children hit puberty like a bunch of times throughout their teen years. The guy who plays Austin and Jenny in Georgia had a crazy growth spurt in between seasons, and this is supposed to be Finn Wolfhard playing two different scenes of Mike Wheeler, but on the same day. One of the main reasons I personally believe this is done is so that the directors can sexualize little children without people being like, what the fuck? Because everyone knows that you should not sexualize minors. Sexualizing minors is wrong. But what about if we casted full-grown adults who can get into the club without an ID and already have their entire body developed? Everything's okay now, so we're able to have two 16-year-olds fuck and do drugs and glamorize it. Now, I never watched Gossip Girl, so I cannot speak too much on that show and the things it might have portrayed its minor characters doing. But I did watch Euphoria through clips on YouTube, but I still watched it. That's not the point. The point is that this cast was also early 20s portraying high school students. In Euphoria, I do believe they were 17, but that is still a minor, not to mention it's set in high school. And you can say, oh, that's how it was when I was in high school. Me and my friends were like that. Generally, don't know why people are bragging about that on Twitter, but I personally do not find it cool to flex smoking as teens and underage drinking. It's kind of giving peaked in high school, but whatever. It's not about the fact that you and your friends lived through that. It's about how it is sexualizing teen girls. Sydney Sweeney literally got popular from showing her boobs on the show. A show where her character is 17 and she's having sex, and so are all her friends. Kat is underage when she starts doing cam girl stuff online. This is seen as empowering and feminist because she's fat. She is sexualizing herself as a fat girl. So that obviously means she is gaining confidence. Maddie's 14 when she has sex with a grown-ass man, and at face value, she is painted as the one being in control. A child will never have any say in a relationship with an adult. This is normalizing pedophilia in Hollywood. It is normalizing the sexualization of teen girls as if they aren't already sexualized enough. Teenagers have sex. I'm not going to sit here and act like they don't. And I also know this is all fiction. But fiction bleeds into reality all the time, especially sexual fiction. There is no reason we should be seeing the naked bodies of people who are portraying minors. Along with Maddie being a minor and sleeping with adult men, Jules does the same thing. A big plot point was how she had slept with Nate's dad. And while Eric Dane, God bless his soul, was around 47 at the start of Euphoria, Hunter Schafer was also an adult woman. Granted, she was only 20, and I do think in season 1 she could pass off as a possible 17-year-old. Alexa Demie at her grown age cannot pass off as 14. Instead of doing literally anything to at least try to make her look younger, they just slapped a 30-year-old in a bikini and called it a day. Oh, but Soko, why would you want to see that? I don't. But these things are supposed to be uncomfortable. You're supposed to see a teenage Maddie with an adult and realize it's wrong. But when you have two people that just look like they could be an age-appropriate couple, these scenes do not have the desired effect. It's now just two people having sex instead of a teenager being manipulated into literal sexual assault. And this is another reason why casting adults completely defeats the point of these plot lines. And while I would never want a minor to be kissing on an adult, even through acting. It cannot be that hard to find an adult who doesn't look like they're going to be on the cover of Vogue. There are plenty of young adults in the film industry who can portray these scenes with the intended outcome. Lucy Hale was 20 years old when she first played Aria in Pretty Little Liars. Her pedophile love interest in the show was played by Ian Harding, who was 24, and while the relationship was strictly portrayed as wrong, it meant nothing to me growing up because these two literally just looked like a nice young couple once again. Had Lucy Hale been the age she was portraying in the show, it would be an extreme shock. But at 11 years old, this was normalized for me, and I'm sure it was for the many other little girls who also watched the show at the time. And while there are other TV shows that show teacher-student relationships, this one, to me, from what I've seen, is by far the worst. Ezra had no consequences for sleeping with his 16-year-old student. You were even supposed to root for him as the good guy and see Aria's parents as the bad guys trying to break up true love. Ezra says weird shit to Aria like, I don't see you as a child, which yes, you should, and it's all romanticized. The worst thing that happened to Ezra because of this relationship was him having mean words said to him. Then he got punched in the face one time. That man should have been in jail. Then to make it worse, they get married. This is no, hey, this relationship is wrong message or anything. And I can't even imagine the effects that this had on young girls growing up with this show. They were the main demographic for it, along with being the main shippers for this pairing. Riverdale is another TV show guilty of this in the form of Archie Andrews and Miss Grundy. And no, not the mean old woman from the comics. They made this Miss Grundy younger and nicer, specifically so that they can play out their hot for teacher fantasy with Archie and her. They lowered Miss Grundy's age while having also a conventionally attractive ripped adult play Archie. Archie Andrews is supposed to be 15 years old. The relationship is portrayed as secretive and steamy, and this is what Archie would have looked like had KJ Apa been the age of his character. This is who was having sex with an adult woman in the backseat of her car. This is another relationship that was kind of brushed past, but the writers didn't continue this one due to backlash. And I want to say, once again, these things happen in real life. And in real life, many times, people also brush past it, especially when it comes to male victims. Hell, as I was looking up things about this specific couple, I seen a few comments on Reddit calling Archie lucky. And that is just continuing to prove my point that I am trying to make. Riverdale was trying to pull a Pretty Little Liars or Dawson's Creek, but the difference is, in 2017, it was a lot more progressive than 2009 and 1998. You were never going to get away with a grooming storyline without explicitly stating that it was wrong, which none of them ever did. They glamorized adult-teen relationships and made them each seem like some star-crossed lovers with the thrill of hiding their relationship. The sexualization of minors was turned into nothing more than a forbidden romance storyline. Adults portraying teenagers in sexualized situations does nothing but normalize it. I know you guys are likely desensitized to it, and some of you might even start to see 16-year-olds and 17-year-olds as adults because of this. Social media is not real life. There are so many teenagers online who may look older, but if you were to go into a high school, you'd realize that's not the vast majority. Most of them look like the children they are. I think the idea of casting adults as teens gets messy, especially in sexualized situations. I understand child labor laws, and I understand the aging issue, but at the same time, I also understand that I see no reason for these stories about literal teenagers needing to be so graphic. I think you are able to get your point across when it comes to teens having sex without the audience physically watching them ride each other. I think that's when it starts to quickly become an issue. That is the end of my video. Thank you for listening to me up. As always, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and feel free to like or even subscribe.